Marcus Conte reporting. Early in the morning. January 15, 2020. And we are still here. Let me know how you guys like these walking talks. I know I keep walking the same path, but sometimes when you stay on the same path, you get to where you want to go. I think that's why I do it. I walk I take the same steps when I want to say something. When I want to say a certain thing, I take the same steps to try to rekindle my thoughts, to gather. That's the Buddhist thing, gathering one's thoughts. So Marcus Conte reporting on the, wow, what a debate. I thought it was one of the best debates yet. I thought it was the best debate yet. 6 contestants, less people, better interaction, right? And I'll talk about the winners and the losers. But first, I want to get out of the way this, what is a clear smear piece. The biggest event in the debate, clearly, and I said it would be, was Elizabeth Warren, the controversy between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren saying that Bernie Sanders is a sexist, saying that a woman could never be president. And man, was the confrontation exactly what it should have been. So it was pretty good, and I'll tell you my impressions of that in a second. But first, this James O'Keefe Project Veritas hit piece on Bernie Sanders. And it is a hit piece because of the way the piece was framed, right? Now, I know a lot of people are already saying, oh, you're just defending Bernie Sanders. Hear me out. Hear me out. Here's the deal, right? So the kid's name, there's a guy, his name is Kyle Jurek. You can watch the video, it's only 10 minutes. He was a field organizer for Bernie Sanders from 2018. He got into politics in 2018, and he worked for Bernie Sanders for 6 months, getting paid a whopping $11,000. So he was a full-time field organizer, getting paid $22,000 a year. Just the background. I believe it's in Oregon, in the West Coast. I'm not sure of that. I don't know where. I think it's on the West Coast. So he said some outrageous things. Right now, as a paid field organizer for Bernie Sanders, totally radicalized, total Antifa motherfucker, right? Saying things like, if Sanders loses, cities will burn. Meet violence with violence. That all Trump supporters are fascists, and the only way to counteract their alleged violence is with violence. So he's inciting violence. We don't have a lot of time. We have to save humanity. All right, so here's some of the things. He seems to be a 20-something-year-old, definitely a hipster with the beard, real fucking hippy-dippy. So what he's saying, is it bad? Yeah, of course. That's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer that the kid is radicalized and somehow he squeaked by. Now the bigger picture is it guilt by association because he works for Sanders and therefore Sanders co-signs that kind of craziness? The answer there is no. Solid no. Bernie Sanders hasn't spoken about it yet, and he probably should. Right? Bernie Sanders hasn't come out about this kid yet, and I imagine he should, and the kid will definitely be fired. But it's the equivalent, in my view, of, for example, you work in a sporting goods store and you sell sneakers, right? And you have radical ideas, and nobody really knows about your radical ideas. Nobody pays attention to anything you have to say because it's not your job to say it. And then one day somebody sneaks up on you and asks you your opinion, and you give it to them, and it turns out that you're a fucking insane person, that you're crazy. When you watch his video, when you watch the video of the kid in Veritas in the expose piece, Kyle Jarek, you do come away with the idea, the sense that he's not all there. He's not playing with a full deck. So in that store, you discover that you happen to have this crazy person on your payroll, and what do? You bring him into the office and you fire him. That's it. So, I mean, is there any... that's really all it is. And I think the piece itself, it really makes Veritas, Project Veritas, look bad, in my view. I thought it was really reaching, trying to get some kind of smear on Bernie Sanders. Cars in the park. Why is there a car? I don't understand that. I don't understand it. There's a sign that says no fucking cars in the park. In the park. Get out of the park. So, crazy person, or he's working at Burger King, he's flipping burgers. Nobody asks his opinion because he doesn't matter. I don't know what a field organizer is. So, it makes Project Veritas look bad because Project Veritas has done good work. The idea of an exposure piece like that is supposed to expose the bigger picture, right? A real exposure would be that Bernie knew about that and Bernie was promoting that. That's a different thing, like what they did with, I think it was Amazon or something. They did another piece where they exposed the hierarchy was involved in the corruption. Here, you just have one crazy person venting his nonsense about his political views that are radical. Right? It's a radical hippy dippy. So that's that. All right. That's my opinion of the Project Veritas thing. So let's talk about the election. So here we were. It was good. You had to wait for it. I mean, the look, in my view, Bernie Sanders is the lead. No doubt about it. Elizabeth Warren is a close second. And Joe Biden is the pick of the sleepy masses. People that are not paying attention. They don't know the issues. They watch it. They say, oh, yeah, Joe Biden. I remember him. I'll vote for him. Or you look at the field and you say, oh, look at this young Pete Buttigieg. He's so charismatic. I think he sounds smart. Oh, he'll be a good president. Because they don't know the issues. They don't know the policies and the history of the fight. If you know the policies and you know the history of the fight, there's only one candidate on stage, and that's Bernie Sanders. All right, so Bernie Sanders, it started out the initial argument. This is so you didn't have to watch it. I watched it for you. The initial argument was foreign policy and war. And Bernie Sanders, again, hits it right out of the park. He turns to Joe Biden and says, I was against the Iraq war. You voted for it. And here we are 20 years later still in Iraq, bombing people and blowing people up. Right? One was right, one was wrong. Against the war, against the insurgency wars, Bernie Sanders was. People tend to forget that. Right? Excuse me one second. I'm back. Right? So that's how it started on foreign policy. Bernie Sanders said that Joe Biden was against the War Powers Act in Yemen. It was unconstitutional. Right? What else did he say? Oh, he also pointed out at other points that Joe Biden represents socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for everyone else. So Bernie Sanders really, he was the winner. Joe Biden was just, he says in his own words that Iraq was a mistake. And he says it in his own words. He's admitting, I made a mistake. I had it wrong. Historically, that doesn't fly. That shows It shows what? It shows horrible judgment. That you didn't know that Cheney and Bush were lying. Just like Tulsi Gabbard. Sorry. That you didn't know that Cheney and Bush were lying when millions and millions of people, not reporters, not high intellects, not people that get paid to follow news, but regular people knew that they were lying and you didn't. And you were in a leadership position, Congress. You know, so Biden, he said something stupid too. He said under Trump we lost our standing in Europe. No, I disagree. I don't think Trump is that much of a disaster in terms of foreign policy. I think that his last move was bad. Blowing up that guy, Qasem Soleimani, was not a good idea. But before that, I think Trump is just a continuation of a bad American policy, which is support the corporations, the oligarchy, right? So Trump is not, for Biden to say that is not really valid. To say that we lost our standing in Europe with Trump. It also seems clearly that Joe Biden he doesn't finish a sentence. It's not a style. It shows a short circuiting of his brain. He's not there. And if you look at the earlier videos, because you could say that about Bernie Sanders, he's too old, but when you look at the earlier videos, Bernie Sanders was a little sharper and quicker, but he's still 100% there. Whereas Joe Biden, he stops and he's like, it's like his brain short circuits and he doesn't know what he's saying. For a split second, he's like, he doesn't know what he's doing. That's not good, man. It's not. I mean, it's obvious. You know, he's running as the white Obama. That's all he is. He's Obama white, Obamacare, Obama this, Obama that. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Move on, man. So that was Biden. Shaky Amy Klobuchar. I think that I'm going to be the president of the United States, and the fucking hair is still moving. She shakes. Shaky Amy. Amy shakes. She voted to limit Trump's powers. She was taking a stand there. Look, she's not going to be the president, so I'm going to talk about it quick. She also has very weird eyebrows. You notice that one eyebrow goes this way and the other eyebrow goes this way? It's like, who painted on your fucking eyebrows? Amy Klobuchar. That's the kind of shit I watch because, you know, listen, I watch this stuff and I've been following it for quite a while. I actually said it to somebody that I was watching it with. And I say, you know what? I'm actually proud of myself because I can watch all these debates now. And because I do what I do, I do this, that I know the issues mostly inside, outside, and upside down. I don't know foreign policy as well as I would like to, but in terms of domestic issues and the policies that are being discussed, I know them inside and out. And I could see a liar. I could determine who's full of shit and who isn't a mile away, and it makes me kind of focus on the fact that Joe Biden's brain shorts out, Amy Klobuchar shakes, and her eyebrow is up in the air. Oh man, because that's what's fun about politics, right? Goofing on the politicians. So Pete Buttigieg, the little boy, he's not going to be the president, right? He's a little boy. He's very believable. If you weren't paying attention, you would say, almost like the allure of Obama. Wow, he's young and he's bright. And he is young and he is bright, but in a way, in a staged kind of paid politician way, a shady, actor. He's a political actor, Pete Buttigieg. He stands for nothing. He stands with the corporations. He's against, health care for all. He's Medicare for all who want it. That's jargon for go back to Obamacare. That doesn't work. Same for Biden. And same for Elizabeth Warren, who also has balked. I mean, look, the big loser of the night is Elizabeth Warren. She's out. She not only is out of the running, in my view, but she may have just thrown away her opportunity to be Bernie Sanders' vice president by her outrageous interaction on stage that I'll tell you about in a second. So again, Elizabeth, let's talk. So again, Pete Buttigieg, his healthcare idea is to force you to buy healthcare at whatever price it is. It's a failed system. The guy's a failure. He's not going to be the president. Forget about Buttigieg. He's just taking up space right now. And so good. So let's talk about Elizabeth Warren. Well, let's Tom Steyer. Had a great night. Tom Steyer said some things. He said the corporations are raping this country, and we're in a climate crisis. That I will put climate first. Now, excuse me. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do agree that climate is a problem. It shouldn't be put first. The economy should always be put first. But he had an interesting night. I don't like that he looks into the camera. So you see everybody else is looking at Wolf Blitzer over there, and he's looking into the camera talking to you directly. And it's really fucking spooky because he's looking right at you, talking to you, when everybody else is looking, when everybody else is addressing the commentator. Tom Steyer is looking right into the camera like this, and we know he's doing it. He follows the camera. The camera turns and goes over there. You know, it's like, oh, the camera's over there. Oh, the camera's over here. You know, that's not. Don't do that. Be yourself. So that's a little annoying about him. A little nuisance. He's not going to be the president. The fake polls say less than 5% of. He's not going to get through it. But he makes good points. It's sad that he's still on the stage at this point in the game because he's taking up valuable air. He's breathing too much air on that stage. I mean, the best you can hope for Tom Steyer is that when he fails in Iowa, he drops out and goes with Bernie Sanders. He supports Sanders 100%. That's what he should do. Would he be a running mate for Bernie Sanders? No. Two old white guys standing on the stage? No. I think Elizabeth Warren would have been the best, but I think her gaffe last night was just horrible. So let's talk about that gaffe. So Elizabeth Warren basically fucking lied about Bernie Sanders and what Bernie Sanders says. So the stage was set. The question was asked to Bernie Sanders, did you say that a woman could not be president of the United States? And Bernie Sanders looked into the camera and told the American people it is ludicrous to think that it is so uncharacteristic to think that I would say something like that. That my history and my career as a politician, there's nothing anywhere to suggest that I ever said something like that or ever would say something like that. In fact, there's clips online 30 years ago where I said a woman could be president. And I supported Elizabeth Warren's run in 2016, which she declined to do. Right? And then the question went to Elizabeth Warren, and the commentator asked her, says, and she confirmed that Bernie Sanders, she lied and said Bernie Sanders said it. And it was just a moment like you couldn't believe what you were watching, right? Bernie Sanders just called her a ludicrous liar, and she doubled down and said he said it. You're out. It's just not believable. And even if he did say it in a nonchalant way, a woman couldn't be president, like he just said it off the cuff kind of thing, the audacity of you to bring up a private conversation between two alleged friends, political allies, in a political debate is so untrustworthy and so disgusting to do that. Therefore, she probably won't be the pick for the vice president of the United States if Bernie Sanders is the nominee. So then the other very, very uncomfortable moment was at the end of the night, because you always watch for this. At the end of the night, Elizabeth Warren walks over to Bernie Sanders' area, and Bernie Sanders extends his hand for a handshake, and she doesn't take it. All right, watch the clip. I'll play it at another time. But so Bernie Sanders extends his hand, and she doesn't take his hand. Instead, she looks firmly at him and says something, and they have words, and Bernie walked away from her. Right? So she's probably tripling down. You said it, Bernie. You said a woman couldn't be president. How dare you? Right? She's doubling down, tripling down on the lie. Bringing up a disgusting comment that may have been said, may or may not, probably may not have been said in a private forum, bringing it up in front of 10 million people. For what? Because do you really believe that Bernie Sanders is a sexist? Elizabeth Warren, do you really believe that Bernie Sanders doesn't believe a woman can be president? How outrageous. How disgustingly poor judgment you have used to come to that conclusion. And I don't think you have come to the conclusion. I think you're lying. I think you made it up for political gain. For your own political opportunity. So again, the big winner of the night was Bernie Sanders. Why? Because we're talking about Bernie Sanders' policies. Universal single-payer health care for all. Get money out of politics. Free college tuition at city and state universities. Pete Buttigieg made the point that I don't want rich people to get free education. Well, again, Pete Buttigieg, do your research. Rich people don't send their kids to community college. They send their kids to Yale, Princeton, and Harvard. So even if a couple of rich kids squeak by and they wanted a public education, so you're going to deny them a public education because their parents happen to be rich? No, public education means public education. So that argument, free college at city and state universities, free tuition, that's the way it should be. All right? You got to get money out of politics. Again, if you don't get these crooked politicians out of the way, nothing will change. There's only one candidate firm on the stage. Well, there's more than one candidate on the stage saying it, but you have to go back to the roots. Again, you have to go back to the history of the policy, the history of the people on the stage. It all stems from one Bernie Sanders. Therefore, he is the pick of the people. And if you put him on stage, face off against Trump, oh, what a debate. Now we're talking. Now we're talking excitement. You talk about excitement leading into November. Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump going head to head. Both filling up stadiums with people, cheering on. Excuse me. It chokes me up. Cheering on their contestant. Wow. Because Bernie Sanders could put 25 grand in a stadium. And it may be more as we move forward. Trump can do it. What, you're going to have a shit sandwich Joe Biden? Forget it. Trump wins. You're going to have the liar Elizabeth Warren? Trump wins. Pete Buttigieg, the child? Bernie Sanders wins. Tom Steyer, the unknown billionaire? Trump wins. Amy Klobuchar? Trump wins. But when you put Trump against Bernie Sanders and you talk about policy for the people, real policy for working class American people, not the bullshit, right, that Trump believes in, that fake populism, Bernie Sanders wins. So that's it for now in terms of debates. The stone has been cast. Is that the expression? The die has been cast. There's no turning back. So now it's on to Iowa caucus. February 3rd, people will vote. 19 days away. How exciting, man. This is so good. And of course, they're going to cheat Bernie. I know. But we can still enjoy the fact that, well, at least I can, because I said it all along that Bernie Sanders, when people said he's not going to run, I said, of course he's going to run. When people said he's too old, I said, no, he's not too old. Is he running? Yeah, he is running, right? Did he turn his back on the people? No, he didn't. He's still there. I said all this shit. So I take great pleasure in seeing Bernie prevail, at least to the point where he can. Now, I know he is soft, and he does roll over for belly rubs and all that. I know that is he could have taken Elizabeth Warren out. Trump would have taken Elizabeth Warren out at that point. You turn to her and say, ma'am, you are a liar, and you're no longer my friend. So there, right? You take a very, very strong stand on that, and Bernie Sanders doesn't do that. He doesn't do it. He's not going to do it. He didn't do it. He's not going to do it in the future. He didn't do it in the past. So that is Bernie Sanders' fundamental flaw. But cheating aside, can Bernie Sanders be the next president of the United States? Can he win a general election against Trump? Absolutely. Can he beat the Democrats at their dirty game of election rigging? That's the hard part. The hard part is not the general election. The hard part is beating the dirty Democrats at their own game, because they're cheating him. Why? Because he's not really a Democrat. He's running as an independent. He's masquerading as a Democrat so he can get his foot in the door and win the White House and make radical change. That's who Bernie Sanders is. Policies for the people. Oh yeah, the markets, they're going to get slammed, we know. But hey, listen, that's the price you pay. All right? The other analogy was, you want to get rid of all the insurance companies, Bernie. What are those people going to do for jobs? That's like saying that we're going to eliminate capital punishment in America, and what's the executionist, the guy who pulls the electrical fucking switch, what's he going to do? Right? He's out of job. Well, maybe we can retrain him and he could be an electrician if he likes electricity, right? Something like that, right? So Mark Scotty reporting on the debate, the Veritas, Project Veritas stuff, nonsense. Peace out.